There is a silent cost in life that few ever measure. It is not the price of failure, nor the weight of effort. It is the quiet pain of hesitation, the chances we watch pass by, while we convince ourselves we are not ready. Napoleon Hill once said that every great achievement begins with a single act of decision. But what happens to those who never decide? How many dreams have faded because someone waited for the perfect moment that never arrived? This is the story of Emma and the diamond she never claimed. In the heart of a small coastal town stood a modest jewelry shop. It smelled of sea salt and polished wood. The golden light of morning filtered through its front window, making the displays sparkle like captured stars. Behind the counter worked Emma, a young jeweler with careful hands and thoughtful eyes. Her workbench was always immaculate, every tool placed with precision. She loved the quiet rhythm of creation, the sound of a blade slicing gold, the gentle hum of a polishing wheel. Yet inside her mind there was always a storm. She doubted her own worth. She feared taking steps that might fail. And so, while the days passed, she kept her life exactly where it was, safe, predictable, small. Each evening she closed her shop, walked home past the docks, and looked out at the sea. Fishermen returned with nets full of life. The air was heavy with salt and motion, and Emma wondered if she too was meant for something larger, something beyond the small circle of her fears. One quiet morning, while the first rain of spring tapped against the window, a stranger entered her shop. He was an older man, wearing a long coat that carried the scent of travel. In his hands he held a wooden box, polished but worn by time. He greeted her softly. "Are you Emma, the jeweler who works with light more than with metal?" She smiled nervously. "I try to be." He placed the box on the counter and opened it. Inside, resting on a piece of velvet, was a rough diamond. It was not the kind that catches the eye instantly. It was uncut, cloudy, imperfect. But as the morning light touched its surface, it shimmered from within like a sleeping sun. The man said, "This stone is for sale. I need to leave the town by sunset. You can have it for a modest price. It is worth far more than it appears." Emma felt her heart quicken. She could see something in that diamond, a hidden fire, a chance to create something extraordinary. But then her thoughts began to whisper. What if it is not real? What if I waste my savings? What if I fail to polish it well? She looked at the man. He was calm, patient, as if he had offered this moment many times before to other hesitant souls. "Take your time," he said. "But remember, time also decides for those who cannot." He left the box on the counter and stepped outside to wait under the drizzle. Emma stared at the diamond. It was as if the stone itself was breathing, alive with potential yet untouched. She began to calculate, to plan, to reason. She imagined everything that could go wrong. Hours passed. The rain slowed. The light changed. At last, she took a deep breath and decided to buy it. She stepped outside with her purse in hand, but the street was empty. The man was gone. All that remained was the echo of her own footsteps and the faint scent of rain on stone. She stood there in silence, her heart sinking with the realization that she had waited too long. The diamond was gone. And something inside her felt hollow, as if a door had closed forever. That night Emma could not sleep. She kept seeing the diamond in her mind, its imperfect surface, its hidden light. Not because of its value, but because of what it had represented. A moment to act, a moment she had let slip away. She sat by her workbench until dawn, her tools lying quietly beside her. Then she opened a book she had once bought at a flea market, a collection of Napoleon Hill's writings. A line caught her eye. "Decisions shape destiny. Indecision is the thief of opportunity." The words struck her like lightning. She realized that her hesitation was not caution, it was fear disguised as logic. And fear, she thought, was the most expensive thing a person could ever own. The next morning, she walked to her shop with new energy. Her hands felt steady, her eyes clearer. She began to create pieces she had always imagined but never dared to attempt, bold designs, unexpected combinations of metal and light. People began to notice. Customers who once passed her store now stopped and stared. Her work carried a new spirit, alive, fearless, radiant. Every time she finished a piece, she would whisper to herself, "This time I did not wait." Months passed. Emma's reputation grew. Her jewelry now carried stories of courage, of movement, of choice. One evening she received an invitation to a grand exhibition in the city. It was her first. The hall was filled with light, mirrors and masterpieces from artisans across the country. And then, across the room, her eyes froze. There, displayed in a crystal case under perfect lighting, was a diamond she recognized instantly. Cut, polished, transformed, it was breathtaking. Next to it stood the same merchant. He saw her and smiled. "It found its home," he said gently. Emma smiled back. "Yes," she answered, "and so did I." She no longer felt regret. She understood now that the diamond was never truly meant to be hers. Its real purpose had been to awaken her, to show her the cost of waiting. As she looked at it one last time, it seemed to glow with quiet wisdom, reflecting her own transformation. She whispered, "The value of an opportunity is not in its promise, but in our decision to claim it." And for the first time, those words felt like freedom. Later that night, back at her shop, Emma placed her tools on the table and watched the reflection of her new creations dance under the soft lamp. She thought of all the chances she had once feared to take, and how each of them had been silently waiting for her to choose. Napoleon Hill's words echoed once more in her mind. Thought is the cause. Reality is the effect. Emma smiled. She finally understood. Every jewel begins as a rough stone, every dream begins as a decision, and every decision becomes a life. If this story touched something within you, share it so it can reach more hearts. Tell in the comments, what opportunity have you been afraid to claim? Let us keep growing together. Because sometimes, the diamond we never claim becomes the one that changes us the most.